Hello, Year 7. Today we're looking at obviously the wind in the willows again, but we're going to be focusing specifically on a language device. That's foreshadowing. So you're going to need a pen, your exercise book, and the extract I've attached to class charts. Your title is Analysing the Importance of Foreshadowing. So go and get those things if you need them. When you come back, write into your books, analysing the importance of foreshadowing, and underline it, and then go on to the next slide. There's a nice easy word scramble at the top there. Unravel those blue letters or put them in the right order so that they spell out the thing that we're looking at today. We've just put it in the title, so it's not very hard. And foreshadowing is when the writer gives an advance hint of what is to come later in the story. And I want you to write the word foreshadowing and then write that definition after it. And when you've done that, can you think of an example of this from what we have read in The Wind in the Willows? And here's the extract we're going to be looking at today. So don't worry too much if you haven't got your copy of the book yet. You can do the lesson with this extract. So The Wind in the Willows Mole and Ratty extract. What lies over there? Asked the mole, waving a paw towards a background of woodland that darkly framed the water meadows on one side of the river. That? Oh, that's just the wild wood, said the rat shortly. We don't go there very much, we riverbankers. Aren't they very nice people in there? Said the mole a little nervously. Well, replied the rat, let me see. The squirrels are all right, and the rabbits, some of them. But rabbits are a mixed lot. And then there's Badger, of course. He lives right in the heart of it. Wouldn't live anywhere else either if you paid him to do it. Dear old Badger. Nobody interferes with him. They'd better not, he added significantly. Why? Who should interfere with him? Asked the mole. Well, of course, there are others, explained the rat in a hesitating sort of way. Weasels and stoats and foxes and so on. They're all right in a way. I'm very good friends with them, past the time of day when we meet and all that. But they break out sometimes, there's no denying it. And then, well, you can't really trust them, and that's the fact. The mole knew well that it was quite against animal etiquette to dwell on possible trouble ahead, or even to allude to it, so he dropped the subject. Right, let's have a little think about Rat's character. What type of a person is he coming across as? He's quite wise, isn't he? He's quite a thoughtful person. He doesn't he doesn't make snap decisions on anything. He thinks about things. And what about Mole's fascination with the wild wood? Why do you think he's fascinated with it? I think it's because he's quite naive, really. He hasn't been out and about much. I mean, he just saw a river for the first time earlier that day, so now he's fascinated by the wild wood. Why does Ratty warn Mole about Badger, do you think? Well, I think it's he's just telling him to be careful of Badger. Badger lives in the middle of the wild wood and handles all these sort of quite worrying creatures. So he probably would treat Mole quite harshly were he to just sort of break in on him. And how does he make the wood seem ominous? Well, it's his hesitation in his speech, isn't it? And the way he describes as ultimately a lot of these animals as not being trustworthy. How is that foreshadowing? Remember, foreshadowing is when something happens that hints at something else happening down the line, something bad. Find a quote to support it. Find a quote in that extract that shows foreshadowing. Anything that hints that something bad might be going to happen down the line in or to do with the wild wood. So what do you think of what do you think the effect of this foreshadowing is? How does it affect the reader? Well, quite easy. Quite frankly, it just makes them think that something bad is going to happen in the wild wood down the line. It wouldn't be mentioned at all, or indeed in this way, if it wasn't going to turn up later in the book. Right, now, if you've got your copy of the book, which you will all have hopefully by the next time we talk, read the rest of the chapter. We've now met two of the key characters. Who are they and what do we know about them? There's little pictures of them there. Find a quote that describes them and write it in your book beside their name. So in what we've read already, find a quote that you think best describes Mole and a quote that best describes Ratty. Write it in your book and describe how it shows what they're like. Now we're going to go on a bit of a quote hunt. You're going to find quotes from this chapter that tell you about the characters that we have met or heard about. Highlight them in your book. Write down what the quote tells us about them. So that's the first thing. You need to find a quote for each of the characters that we've met so far. Write it into your books, and next to the quote, write what it is it tells us about them. If you haven't got the book, then think of an adjective that best describes each of the characters named above: badger, otter, toad, ratty and mole. Now, we have read this book all the way through before, or rather you've listened to it on audiobook, so you should have an idea about each of those. So just think of an adjective that would describe mole, for example, and I would say he's excitable. And then ratty would be, I don't know, I'm not going to say any more because I'll be giving it away to you all. So there you are, that's your task. Okay, well done, Year 7. Keep up the good work. I'm seeing some really nice work from pretty much all of you, so well done. Keep that up. We'll be doing a live, well, it's not so much a live lesson as an interactive lesson later where you'll be able to see me, but I won't be able to see you, and you'll be able to talk to me on a sort of chat feature if you've got questions. But I'm just putting that lesson together, so I'm looking forward to that. Having some kind of contact with you would be nice. The link for that will be in on class charts. You'll see it when you look at the lesson, where you go down to the YouTube link. That's where the link for the live lesson will be. So well done, and I will speak to you again very soon. Thank you, Year 7.